TGIF Warriors. Raja, welcome to F.A.C.E. Nice to meet you. Michael, how are you? Sinatra, how's it going? Team, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, Stel. Good morning. So Kman, end of month, end of quarter. Are you glad to get today over with?
Yeah, we did another 3 hours for the last fixing of the quarter. We already had the last one of the fiscal year in Tokyo, which was a bit of a run on yen. Yen got sold into the fixing, printed well, not specifically in dollar yen, but in the cross yens printed some highs, some extremes, and then slowly coming back off again. Dollar yen had a lot jump early Europe, but yeah.
Dollar yen had a great week. Look at that candle.
Very, very much so. I do think though that we have to be a tad careful going into April with the yen, because as we know, we have the handover between Kuroda and Ueda, and it seems people like to start buying downside for the end of April, speculating that there may be something going on, or Ueda saying something when he takes over from Kuroda. I think officially he takes the governance of the Bank of Japan on the 9th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
People try to speculate a little bit.
Did you find it interesting that cable did not take out these highs? I mean, we were within, I think, a handful of pips, 24, 23, and I think it's 24 and a half up here, 47, 46. Still positive week, nice week. In fact, the only current euro also had a nice week. So I have it on the weeklies because it's Friday.
Yeah.
And Aussie crummy week. What's interesting to me is the dollar, is trying to hold on to 102, but the yen compared to two weeklies, and you've got your leader on dollar pairs there. So, more so than Canada too. So it's really the only dollar pair that's performing.
Yeah, the how shall I say, the pattern also of the week was really buying euros, selling yen in a way, and then the rest of the dollars. If you look at the antipodians, they haven't been doing much. Like Aussie, Kiwi is a bit stronger, but the Aussie has really not been doing much this week. Yeah, sterling is probably going to close on a positive note, right? And then we'll see what happens at the start of April. We can also not forget that we have the PCE, February PCE out in a little under half hour. So there could be a bit of volatility coming out of there. But I really think it's all going to be about the end of quarter flows into the 4 p.m. London in 3 hours time, and then we'll see what pieces there are to pick up really.
Okay. I know there's a lot of people getting constructive on risk, and I could see it in the averages. I just want to point out a couple of things that are leaders in the market that were leaders.
Dale. Dale, do you believe in seasonals?
Yeah. Jake Bernstein. April's supposed to be a great month for Aussie, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I'm always,
I know guys positioning themselves for that.
Yeah.
I won't trade just on a seasonal. I'll still need price action to make me want to do it, but it's good to be aware of it. So, I mean, you look at like the semiconductors. Here's the groups that are leading. Okay. I mean, the semis have had a real nice rally. But, things like Caterpillar and Deere, here's AMD. It's been a market leader. Check that out. On a weekly, it looks like, could just be another bear market rally. But look at this. I mean, this is a week on CAT, but, it had to hold a weekly moving average. But there you go. There's a CAT having a dead cat bounce. Isn't that cool?
That's
It's cats.
poetic.
Very poetic.
Cats heaven.
Hey, Dale, I know
Have you ever tried?
you are
Huh?
watching Oxy, right?
No, I haven't been watching
No,
the
you haven't.
oils. Not
I
individuals.
haven't seen that. One of the biggest investors of all times, Mr. Buffett, has been buying it.
He's been buying Oxy.
Yeah.
Okay, because I look at I look at XLE, and I think with what crude has done here, rallied halfway back, XLE could be a sell. Here, I'm looking for it. XLF. I don't think you want to be long this stuff, right? It's the banks trying to make a comeback. But XLF has had, just like crude, a nice bounce. XLE, here it is. So we've had this big break. We had this big break in the oils, which happened way after the WTI break, and we've rallied back to all the supply above it here. So I think Warren's a better investor than me, but as a trader, I would be looking at oils as a sell.
He for sure has deeper pockets than we have.
Yeah, he's like the commercials when you try and coattail. You try and do what the commercials are doing on the COT, and they could be 3 months early, and it doesn't matter, price wise and time wise. So, so what's your takeaway for the week?
Well, we've seen a lot of euro buying this week, but interestingly, is that we stopped somewhere in the around 109.25, 109.60, and I think that's going to be important going into April to see if that caps. On the other side, I think that a lot of this yen move is and was end of fiscal year. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen to the yen going into April.
Okay.
Again, I wouldn't be surprised if some people would start to speculate a little harder again on what UEDA may do. And then for the rest, yeah, I was talking about those seasonals because there's quite a bit of stuff written about it, and it looks to be extremely positive for risk. And if there are no more dead bodies falling out of closets in the banking world, I'm thinking it may just be the case, that we go into April on a positive note. But
yeah,
this
could be, could be the market could be good until, May. Sell in May and go away. So if this was the bottom that we put in a March low, right? I forgot what I was just showing, but you may want to take a look at the wand. But if this was the low here at 3,800, the people that wanted to sell it at 41, 42, or maybe maybe the melt up guys are right. Maybe Dave H. Contrarian is right. He was looking for a weaker dollar, melt up in the market, higher metals, and lower yield. So, a lot of ingredients are there. But I just wanted to show you this because I know you trade it. Doesn't look like it's setting up, higher low here. And I've noticed it kind of trades with the yen, but the intraday sure looks like we have some type of head and shoulders formation back over 691. Could take it back towards that, 7 level.
Yeah, it's all very possible, but there's a lot going on. There's so many comments from either side of China, US, EU. It's really I don't have a position, and I really don't know what to do with the CNH right here and now. Perfect. I mean, if it goes up to, as you say, if it goes above 691, 692, we're probably going to have a look at 7 again. But then it to me, it's just flip the coin right here and now. Data overnight were actually a little bit better than we may have expected. Yeah, to come back on those seasonals and the positivity, since everybody knows that, I've got the impression that it may be something that people will try to put on, or already putting on, for the first half of April, and then all of a sudden we get a bit of a surprise the other way around, you know?
Yeah, I just I'm saying I know some
Yeah.
people that are buying Aussie and it's not April yet, thinking this is a low and it's the best month for the Aussie too. So why don't we go move over to Stel, and what we do, just poke over that major trend line a few times, and but it can't close over it, Stel, that big downtrend line.
Looks like it. And I still think that once the quarter end is over, you know, the move in risk, the grind higher in risk, I think is probably done for now. We might see a little reversal lower, and that's not going to help metals, unless obviously the move lower is because of bank failures or anything like that. But you know, I'm not convinced of the breakout yet because it's not there yet. That's why I unloaded half my position, and I am waiting patiently for either the breakout to reinstate at a higher level, obviously, but or for a pullback. And we were talking about that with Kman, probably somewhere in the 22 and a half area. I think that will be a nice little range to fall back on. But at the moment, metal is looking good. As long as yields are not, you know, don't spike higher, and the dollar doesn't either, I think the potential is still there. But we have to wait to see what happens next week, which is the beginning of the new month. Quarter end is over. But, you know, the market behaved roughly as we expected it, right? We've been saying for over a week now that we think we're going to grind higher into quarter end, and we have got it.
Yeah.
So hopefully people have been following and listening and done okay on that.
Okay. And looking at silver on the 15-minute, pretty close to a 3 drive. You know, every break holds, you know, like I sold it in here yesterday and took it in here. I didn't expect new highs after that, but now I did it again because, you know, look at this, just short term for day trade, see what happens. You know what? I haven't seen DSI in a while. Has gold or silver gotten in? Are they in the 80s or?
Let me check. I haven't had it for a couple of days, but last time,
silver was in the I think it was 85 or something like that.
Okay. Is it higher than gold, Blake?
It is. It was last I looked. I wasn't really paying too close attention. Here it is. Let me grab it for you. Right. Silver is at 85 and gold is at 80.
Okay. All right, because the silver's recent outperformance. Yeah. All right, buddy, what do you think going into the end of the month, the end of the week? Have you heard the talk and the chatter about, you know, the seasonals? April's going to be a great month for risk.
You know, I'll let. How about this, Stelios? Did you have anything else that you wanted to wrap up with? Because I've got a few things I want to say, but and I'll give you my opinions going into month and weekend. But I just want to make sure I didn't cut off Stelios.
No, you didn't. I don't have much. I mean, there's not much moving apart from.
I was actually hoping that I cut you off because I like cutting people off.
Yeah, so cut me off. Go for it.
All right. You know. It was a really, first of all, I want to say, Kman, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
I cannot believe you were up at 1:30 in the morning. I can believe you were up at like 1:30 in the morning trading the last fix in Tokyo. But really, really great heads up to the ForexAnalytix community. I want to say thank you. I think a lot of us were in there taking advantage of the yen moves overnight. So thank you so much for making that extra effort. And I know it's close and dear to your heart considering you spent so much time in Japan in your career. So, but I just want to say great job.
All right, cheers. I hope people could benefit a little bit from what I've been telling over fiscal year end in Japan. So.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, it gave us a lot of opportunity from a move standpoint. And I want to just really quick, I'm going to show you guys just some of the volatility that we saw. Now, unfortunately, I shorted some dollar yen last night. I got hit on a really good, I thought was a good price. And then I put my stops right at the highs because I'm like, okay, that's it. You know, I was up like, you know, overnight. and I went to bed, and then of course it rallies and trips my stop and then reverses again, which is fine because I have other yen exposure. But if you can see the volatility that we got, this is literally within 15 minutes of what Kay was talking about. You can see the euro yen, big reversal there, pound yen, reversal, Aussie yen. This is the big one, big reversal underside of the triangle that, if you're a ForexAnalytix subscriber, these are the, kind of charts that you saw, last night that we were heading into. Big reversal there. Kiwi yen, also big reversal. Canadian yen, same thing, right at key resistance. So big reversals there. So that, and Dale, the reason why I mentioned that is because that was like year end, fiscal year end for Japan. And I always forget about it up until like a couple weeks ahead of time. I always I guess because I've never lived there, but trading around the FX market for 20 some odd years, I am always aware of it as it comes. But it was a really good heads up because I just I don't pay attention necessarily to the fix. I'm just usually around in Asian trade and just waiting for the flows. But he, Kman really called it there. But as we go into month and quarter end, I think what's going to be really important for the rest of the currency market is if you look at like the euro is boxed in, and this is going to be really critical today because we had that Eurozone flash CPI that came in a little worse than expected. So the euro's slipping a little. Then we have flows on top of that. But more importantly is if you just take a step out and just, zoom out a bit, you'll notice that the euro, as of yesterday, was challenging this trend line from 2021. So, if you were in the, in the ForexAnalytix community, in the chat rooms, you're aware of that. We are challenging some pretty key resistance. It's a 78% retracement. It's also, you could argue that it's forming a little double top here. And now you see this ascending trend line intraday. We've been focused on that all week. If you've been in the chat rooms, we've talked about it a few different times, posted charts as we're, pivoting off that 2 days ago. And so it's going to be really important. I think the euro has its breakout points. And if you're looking for a breakout, this is it. And with the PCE data, now remember, everybody is laser focused on disinflationary pressures that are kind of plaguing the world right now. And if that PCE data is weaker than expected, we could see a nice pivot higher. But are you guys willing to bet on that? And I think it is really a tough call that inflation is ready to give up the ghost. So I want to ask you guys what your opinion is. Dale, what are your thoughts about the PCE data as we're coming into today? I know you were talking about seasonals, but do you think that this inflation data is going to be, the PCE data is going to be strong or weak? Do you have any opinion there?
I really don't, Blake. Just let it happen.
All right. Well,
maybe the trend continues.
The trend of disinflationary pressures continue. Let's hope so. As human beings living on planet Earth, let's hope that inflation.
You mean Planet Paul?
Planet Vol. Did you say Planet Vol?
Powell. Planet Powell.
Planet Pal. Well, let's just say that as a consumer and a citizen of planet Earth, I hope that inflation pressures continue to recede. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. If Steve is here, if Scuba Steve is here, I bet Steve's got an opinion.
About what? The disinflationary pressures that are plaguing the world?
Yes. Disinflationary. Yeah. Let's make sure it's inflation.
Yeah, I'm very much worried about it. I mean, I'm so worried that at some point the purchasing power of my money might start losing value at a more bearable pace. I mean, what am I going to do if that ever happens?
Well, you got to stop buying gold then. So, so what do you think is gonna happen here today with the data? Do you have any opinion on some of the data or the PCE data coming out today?
You know, I always refuse to speculate on data unless it's like extremely skewed, you know, in which case it gives you the opportunity to fade the market that is all priced in for A or B, right? Because the risk reward is amazing. We all know how the reaction to inflation data is going to be, right? The market is not going to like inflation staying elevated. Why? Because they know that this is an obstacle for what they're wishing for, a Fed pivot. On the other hand, the pullback in inflation gives more hopes that with combination with some slowing data, we might see a faster pivot from the Fed. So I'm, you know, I'm more inclined to see what's going to happen, see how we're going to close the week, so we know how to trade the week ahead, right? As you know, and I'm going to write all about that, of course, in the end of week analysis during the weekend.
So, you know, it's interesting. Last month, you know, we were also forecasting 0.4% month over month. And then you can see the data, you know, came in at 0.6%. So, you know, are we going to get that type of surprise again? The market's not going to like that if that's the case.
Of course it's not.
No. Stelios, what are your thoughts here? You have any opinions?
On the inflation numbers, well,
yeah, on the PCE data that we're expecting today.
The pattern we're seeing is for inflation prints to be coming lower. We saw that in Europe again today. Italian CPI, you know, is quite a bit lower than expected. Eurozone CPI lower than expected, but core is still very sticky. So I think PCE is going to drop, core probably stays the same. You know, if I had to pick and say, is it going to come in higher or lower than expected? I'd probably say marginally lower, but core inflation is still pretty sticky, unfortunately. So yeah, that's my view. I don't really have a major view. Sorry.
Okay, well, you know, I know your view on precious metals is bullish. So
and also a reminder, Blake, sorry to interrupt, that core inflation is a made up measure that initially was made up to supposedly just you know, push out the more volatile stuff, food and energy, but it's a completely useless measure for the consumer, because for the consumer, taking out from inflation food and energy makes 0 sense, right? Which consumer is immune, is immune to increases in price of food and energy. These are the stuff that we have to use, you know, even the poorest of people have to use on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, well, you know, people make up stuff. I made up the middle finger, the middle finger formation in the markets. Do you guys know what the middle finger formation is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the middle finger formation.
Middle finger.
Here,
middle finger
formation. I just gave you the middle finger formation right there. It doesn't help traders either. So see, people make up shit that doesn't matter, and you know, happens all the time. You know, whether it's the Fed or, you know, Blake Morrow. So, jokes aside, I hear exactly what you're saying. But we're just a few minutes outside of data. So let's ask.
You were going to say something about metals.
Oh yeah. Well, metals are bid up, right? And you can see gold is like really ready to go. But I'd say we have to break above 2,000, and on a weak print, you know, weak PCE print, we might actually get to probe up there. I mean, silver's looking good, but you know, silver is also up against really big resistance too. I mean, that's a big triangle, I think. So
I think the DSI, you correctly said, is high prints. We're getting past the quarter end, so I think there's a lot of reasons why metals could dip a little bit. That's one of the main reasons why I got out of half my silver position yesterday. It was a good run, and I think we're probably going to see a dip lower before we go higher.
All right. Well, a dip lower before we go higher. That means you are thinking that inflation is going to be rather sticky, maybe.
Not due to
But-
inflation only. I think in general, I think the price action is probably ripe for a little move lower towards, I don't know, 22, 22 and a half in silver. Let's see.
Okay, well, let's see. Kman, you have any opinions going into today's data, or you're just more just dealing with I know you said you think year end, or excuse me, month end and quarter end flows are going to be more important, but do you have any opinion about PCE?
No, I do think they are slowly as well going to tick lower, but really no, I don't want to pick a side on those at all, to be
Okay.
honest.
Well, you know,
Comes.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I say come what comes.
Oh, come what comes. Got it. Well, you know, the one thing I want to point out about this week and about these flows that we've seen, they've been very dominant all week as far as the markets go. You know, we've had equity markets that have grinded higher up right into resistance. We're at that 40-80 level on the S&P that we've been. You know, if you've been trying to fade the equity markets all week, you know, it's been, in my opinion, pretty clear that we were going to be moving higher, marching higher towards these levels. But now that we're here, it's not as easy, right? It's fine on the way there. But now that we're there, I think this data is going to be fairly important we'd have to see a pretty big miss in the PCE, you know, for the equity markets to get some sort of big reaction here, because if the data is, you know, like a decent move anyway, because if the data comes in line or strong, that might have been it. You know, you got a lot of banks and a lot of traders got ahead of this week's flows, and they've been riding them like a wave. But you know, Dale, like when you surf, you know, when the wave dissipates, you know, it's one thing catching the entire wave from when it starts breaking, right? But now we're close to shore, right? So you got to be a little careful here as we're up at some pretty key resistance.
Or you'll pearl.
Yeah, I mean,
You know the surfing term pearl?
Pearl.
Where,
Dale, did you ever use to surf?
a little
of course
bit.
he did.
I pearled,
Okay.
which means, you know, you get to the peak of the wave and, you know, you're not on the wave. All you have is, you know, a big drop left in front of you. So
You know,
it's called pearling.
One day, Dale, we'll have to talk about you know, surfing the San Onofre big boobies someday.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite spot. Anyway, so we're up against resistance here. You got to be a little careful. Like I said, flows have been dominant all week. We've seen the euro, you know, grind higher, the dollar, you know, pretty much weaker, but the dollar is finding support ahead of the 78% retracement. That this is, if you've been listening to the, you know, Morning Edge and Daily Roundup and, you know, the flow show, we've talked about the dollar index just being in this range all week. We are, you know, we're pivoting off the bottom end of that range. So I think this is going to be really important, you know, come by the end of the day, you know, where the dollar ends up. And I think the dollar is probably going to end up more in the middle of its range, not too far away from where we're at. So again, if you've been riding the dollar down all week, you know, you're pearling, right? Dale, did I get that right? Did I get it?
Yeah.
Get it?
Nothing but air. Nothing but air.
All right. So anyway, we're just about a minute away. So let's go ahead and get set up. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a few different charts here. Put 15-minute chart on the dollar index. Let's go put this on as yields. Let's get the 10-year. Oh, by the way, actually, I should do this really quick. Let's just look at the 10-year yield, and I think this is going to be pretty telling here. You know, we're up against, this would be channel resistance, just FYI, channel resistance, little head and shoulder pattern developing. So just be careful with the yields. Okay, back to what I was just doing. So we'll keep this one, yields will be here in the far right. This one over here will be the dollar index. Let's go ahead and throw that on there. Here's a Dixie. Let's get rid of that. Well, I'll just keep it there. It's no big deal. Let's get the S&P over here just to see what the instant reaction is.
Instant replay.
Instant. And then let's go over here and pull up the data flash that comes with ForexAnalytix. Let's move that over, bring the charts back over, put this over here, and here we go.
20-second now.
We got Canadian GDP too. Shoot, forgot about that, which came in better than expected.
0.5. That's better than expected. Yep.
Yeah.
What is it doing? What is it doing? You don't have it. Oh, personal income a little bit better. Who cares?
Personally,
Come on. Are they trying to find the negative sign?
Good morning.
The S&P is still bid. Dollar index coming under pressure a little bit. Did the data come out?
I don't see it. Oh, it's out. 4.6 core PCE.
Yeah, there it goes.
And 5% PCE. Now go to the chat room, please, and see what I wrote a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Just
Here
go.
is-
So 4.6 core PC
Hi,
here,
JJ.
5%. No, you missed it. Go there. You go. No,
Well,
where
I
is
don't
it?
care what you're.
Go up a little bit.
Dang it.
No, what are you doing? There you go. What are you doing? Seriously.
Right there.
Oh, there we go.
Are you really talking your predictions?
Yes, exactly as they came in. Come on.
Oh, come
That's
on.
that's
no,
luck.
no, I'm more curious about the reaction here, Stelios.
I know, I
your
know.
predictions. All right. So anyway, stocks are actually
Okay, we
enjoying
have
it
our
right
guests
now.
here.
We're seeing some dollar weakness. We're seeing the dollar yen come under a little bit of pressure. Stocks are hitting highs right now. Watch this 40-80 level. It's going to be really, really big as we go into North American trade. This is going to be really big resistance. We hadn't quite brushed it yet. So we are, remember, this is a confluence, by the way, 127% extension here, trendline resistance. And channel resistance is right up here too. So, and the 10-year looks like it might be breaking down. So I'll go check that out with our chat room. So if you guys want to be part of the ForexAnalytix community, make sure you take a $1 trial. It's $1 for 10 days. Download the mobile app while you're doing that, or get involved in the trader funding program. That is another way to be involved in ForexAnalytix, because you can try to access our money. You have to take an assessment, but while you're doing that, you get inclusion for a period of time into the ForexAnalytix community, because if you're going to trade our money, we want to make sure you could be able to access us, and you can talk to us, and you can talk to other traders, and you're not alone. So check out the trader funding program when you get an opportunity. Dale, I know you have an interview. I want to thank everybody for being here all week. It's been a crazy week. I'm ready to move past it. I hope you are too. And I hope you guys did well this week. For me, I gave away some profits from the last couple of weeks this week, but that's what happens in trading, right? Right, Dale?
that's a business.
It's the
You
business.
can't drive a taxi and not expect to get a ticket now and then.
I got a freaking parking ticket. Actually, I got a couple of them this week.
Stop driving a taxi, Blake.
Yeah, that's why I'm switching to Uber. All right. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you all this week. Thanks for keeping all of us in check, the whole market and all of us community. Thank you, Dale, Steve, Stelios, Kman, stepping in for Ryan a lot in the Flow Show this next week. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you all.
Have a great weekend, Dream Team.
Thanks, Coach.
All right,
too, Dale.
all right. A little recharging, a little Final Four action in the NCAA. So that's my big plans. Mr. VWAP.
Coach, how you doing?
Hey, it's been a long time.
No
Still
kidding.
smoking those stogies, huh, buddy?
Yeah, well, only when my girlfriend's not looking.
It's been too long. So how have you been? Why don't we have you share your screen and talk a
Sure.
little bit about your method? But it's been so long, I even forgot. Let's get in a time machine for a few minutes and go
Sure.
back to your origins and what was your first gig in the business, and
My
how did you gravitate towards being a VWAP guy? I mean,
Okay.
a lot of stuff to cover, but go ahead.
I grew up in the penny stock era of Vancouver in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh my goodness, you were
So
raised by barracudas.
Oh, I was raised by people who make Lex Luthor look like Mother Teresa.
Okay.
Okay, and we're talking guys, you know, most of my clients were the people out of Long Island and stuff like that who, when Jordan Belfort's firm closed down, they became stock promoters and sold
Okay.
their own paper instead of pushing other people's product. So
Right.
what I did was I was the liquidator, right? Because we could direct trades from Canada from the US trade desk. I could direct trades to whatever market maker we wanted. So I'd have Knight showing me bids and Schwab. They'd just call me when retail programs would kick off, and I'd be just liquidating hundreds of millions of shares of cheap insider paper from Swiss banks, banks in the Caymans, into the US markets from Canada, which was technically
Wow.
offshore. So I've
Right.
done about 200 reverse merger IPOs, NASDAQ all the way to pink sheets, some Amex. So I've made markets. I'm the liquidator. My clients asked two questions. What was the volume? 10 million shares. How much did we sell? 3 million shares. Great. Click. That's
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
Right. What's the
What?
dollar volume and how much did we participate? That's all we care about because it's a market, right? We're selling
Yeah.
stock just like you're selling bananas or whatever, right? That's all it is. We're just selling worthless paper. And then in 2012, I had a heart attack and had to do something less stressful. So I thought
Isn't that something that retail trading? That's the funny part of it.
I thought it would. I would thought
You're
it would
having
be
orders
easy.
fed to you. You have
Yeah.
orders fed to you. You
I-
didn't have to be right.
Geez,
All you
no
had to do
kidding.
was execute. Huh?
Exactly. So I think this is going to be a slice, no problem, right? I start
Yeah.
retail trading, I lose $300 immediately, and I'm like, what? You know, and then I discovered how difficult this journey of retail trading is because you can't cheat. You've got no size. You don't have an inventory that you could stuff a bad trade into and have it disappear for a little while, right? You don't have market makers who are willing to take bad trades for you and eat the loss because you give them so much order flow. So you're like, oh my God, I got to figure out what I'm doing. There's just no way to cheat. Trust me, I looked. And so I found this market profile and I've just been learning and teaching for the last couple of years now. And what I try and do with my guys in my room is I just try and keep it simple and teach them how to make some money every day without trying to hit those big swings, especially in the futures market. We train
Okay.
them on the micro and then graduate them to the mini, you know, and just teach them how to make $300 to $500 a day and just trade for a living before you start getting too big for your britches.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, just, you know, we look at markets structurally and with order flow. Like right now, we're going to the end of the quarter. So obviously, this is a markup. We've got gaps and things like single prints and short positions that is just propping this market up like a motorcycle on a kickstand.
What time frame are we looking at on your inside chart right now?
This one's daily, right? This is
Okay.
a daily structure chart. And because I've always been a net seller, I always look to see where the position is. And the blue stuff is where 70% of the volume is. So I'm like, okay, that's their cost basis. They're going to take it up, you know, and when they bring markets down and they sell them, you know, we had a nice balance in whatchamacallit, in December, right? At the end of the December, we had this balance. And when we sell down, we always just come right down to that balance, which is just the cost basis. So, you know, these markets have huge ranges and it's, you know, these big
All right, let
Goldman
me-
working prop traders are making huge money. So it's kind of hard to
Okay.
trade these big ranges. So we like to chop them up.
So, okay. So I know you're pretty much it's day trading what you're doing,
Yeah, definitely.
right? So
Yeah.
you go home flat every day.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have any areas of major supply? Can you put a different hat on and
Sure. Yeah,
instead
definitely.
of your microscope, maybe some what you would see, even though you know it's not the way you trade, but
No,
it
definitely.
could
Yeah.
be something. Where do you think big supply is above this market? And does it look to you like you know this move to the upside is sustainable? Do you
We're
have any?
coming, I think
Go
we're
ahead.
coming into some cost basis here. You know, that
Okay.
4136 area, there's paper trapped above there. There was a big flush down. So these
Yeah.
ranges really flush a lot of people out. Believe it or not, the ES trades very similar to a penny stock. just because of the lack of liquidity. You can come in with some size and move this thing pretty quick. I mean, the ranges are huge because we don't have money managers buffering, like, acting like shock absorbers.
What are the spreads on the micros?
The spreads are good, but I'm just saying, if you came in with some sort of a size order, you would
you'd
move
move
this
it.
thing because, there's not, the books are thin, and man, these algos, they execute so quick that they'll pull the bids so fast it'll make your head spin,
Okay.
especially at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, all these things that, we've been watching. So I think, I think if we could stay above this 40.76, what I do is I come up with these zones for longer term traders. And I made these zones up at COVID, and you just keep doubling them and doubling them. This is Jim Dalton's stuff that he teaches. And I just took it and tried to make it practical. So if you stay above 40.76, your target is 41.06, which is the middle of the zone. And then the top part of that zone is 41.36. So now what we've done is we've looked above 40.76. If we look above 40.76 and fail to accept up here, if you come under 40.76, you'll be looking for shorts down to 40.46 for those longer term traders, right?
Okay.
It's a really simple way of trading, but it works really quite nicely. And you can really manage your risk by using the levels. So if the market breaks under 40.76 and you start building a short between 69 and 70, it starts getting up to 76, you can like start to manage your position by size by cutting some contracts, right? And then you can have a hard out, right? So your risk, where your risk is.
What's a hard out to you? A stop in the market?
Yeah, that's a hard stop, like
Okay.
if you're trading 10, 15, 20 contracts and you're building a short position between 68 and 76. Now this is for
Right.
people who have larger accounts and know how to manage size, risk with size, right? They know how to manage a position. They don't freeze. They have the ability to do so. And that's a skill, and that's a skill that it's even after 30 years in the business has taken me time to learn how to manage a retail position versus selling 5 million shares of stock in a day. It's completely different things, I found out, and so I'm still learning every day. I think I always
we
will
are,
be.
aren't we?
I
Yeah.
think I always will be.
Okay, so what kind of average account size are people coming in to take your course to trade micros?
Pretty
What do they trade?
small.
Like $500 accounts to trade
Well,
micros?
that used to be the case. Now there are all these funded trader programs like Top Step and Apex, where people will pay a monthly fee and trade OPM, other people's money, but they have very strict, risk and things like that. Just like you guys said, if you're trading our money, we want to know what you're doing, which is a really good thing for retail traders, because I think I figured out why retail traders have such a hard time is because when you work at a firm, you were on the Merc and you had people to answer to. And when I started, on a trade desk, it was like, sit there, don't touch anything, make sure you don't screw up the lunch order. And so you sit and you learn, and sometimes you'd go to take a trade and somebody would go, what are you doing? Right? You don't have that when you're sitting alone in your house, right? You have no risk manager, no credit manager, no owner of the firm,
No
who knows,
oversight.
zero oversight, right?
With your bad psychology.
Exactly, right? And all these things like FOMO. I mean, if I had gone to my boss and said I got FOMO, he would have hit me in the head with a phone, right? I mean, those things, it's work, you don't get FOMO when you're a brain surgeon, right? Like, let's just try this brain surgery. See if, I'm kind of bored, right?
Yeah,
People,
right.
If people acted the way they do at work, the way they do when they trade, they'd all be fired, right? It's a job.
Okay. So,
right?
so you tell us some of the most important lessons of trading psychology that you pass on to people. I know, most people start with risk management, but you tell people don't be afraid of missing trades. There's always another. Take the pressure off.
Yeah, definitely. That's number one. The other thing
Because
is
people are, they don't get it and they beat themselves up for
I know.
missing trades. You know how I
Right.
know? I still feel it and
Oh,
have the awareness to say,
yeah.
Dale, because it's your paradigm.
Yeah. And the thing
Right.
is, what I've kind of a way to trick my brain, I found, is I've said, okay, I missed this trade. What is it telling me about how I'm doing business today? I might be slow. I might have missed that. But then I'll try and use the information that I get from missing that trade to help me on the next one. Right.
Right.
And that took a while for me to get to. That was number one. The other thing was humility. Humility is the best risk management. And I'm not saying be tentative, but sometimes we all have to know our skill level, and you have to trade your skill level. That's why trading is a skill that takes time. I don't think I've ever met anybody who just sat down and traded naturally, retail and made money like
I don't know if
consistently.
there are any trading savants.
I don't think so. I've never met
heard
any.
of one.
I've
They
never
could
heard
play
of one.
classical music on
Yeah,
the piano without lessons. I don't know. Okay, so humility. And the humility comes from understanding how powerful the market is. Just like a surfer
exactly.
has respect for the ocean
Exactly.
because they have been humbled out there.
Yeah,
and
it's
been
like,
buried out there.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I can't expect to go and jump in the water and be Laird Hamilton, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that man has
Yeah.
dedicated his entire life to being a waterman.
How
You know?
long did it take for you to get proficient, good, have enough confidence to say I could live off the market?
It's taken me. I started retail trading in 2012. I didn't
Okay.
figure it out until around 2016, and then
Okay.
from
4
2016,
years?
and then 2016 to 2022, that was like a very difficult growth where I'd be like, I do really well, and then all of a sudden I couldn't trade my way out of a wet paper bag, right? And the frustration of that, because I'm used to like wake up in the morning, sell 100 grand worth of stock, go out to lunch,
Yeah, sure.
put another deal together, grab a shell, put some deal, we got some moose pasture, let's drill for gold, let's go rail off 50 million shares worth of stock in a couple of months. And, everyone's having, no
It
stress.
sounds like you miss it a little bit.
Well, there's nothing like making the feeling of selling zero cost paper into, $5 volume. It's just beautiful,
Yeah. Yes. So, I'm surprised. Do you think the same thing is going on in like altcoins?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Aren't
Oh
they
my
like
God.
pennies?
Oh,
Aren't
they're
they the
beautiful.
penny?
I
Yeah?
think
Do you trade
crypto.
them?
I don't know anything about crypto. I don't
Yeah.
touch it, but I have a lot of respect for the guys who created and invented the market and have got people to buy it. Because in the old days, we used to say, could you imagine if there was a market like this where there was absolutely no regulation? That would be like a fantasy. And now they're doing it. It's and there's no SEC. They don't even have to issue stock certificates. You don't even have to pay for paper, right?
Yeah.
It's
amazing, isn't it?
And then now they can get retail by just pushing a button and getting people, on social. Like in the old days, we used to have to go and drop $3 million on a direct mail program to get people to come and buy the stock.
I remember those. I did IR for a little while.
Did you?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
me too. Yeah.
Basically what I saw in IR is that you pay people to bring in the volume
Exactly.
so you could liquidate the stock. So
Exactly.
you might pay it and you give them free trading
Yep.
and restricted.
Yep.
And for that, and you hope you sell before they sell their free trading.
Exactly. Now the really
Is that
smart and now the really good deal guys, the guys who make $200, $300, $400 million on deals, they pay in cash. So nobody else has control of their stock because zero cost paper will always find the bid. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what they do. But yeah, no, these guys, like I have clients that I started with in the early 90s who are billionaires now after doing 3 or 4 deals. They've just sold so much stock that, and then they have public companies, which are printing presses.
Yeah. And that doesn't just go to Vancouver.
Oh, no.
All the angel, a lot of these tech firms that venture capitalists come into, they
Coach,
don't make it.
Coach,
Yes.
look at a Palantir. They have an S8, which is an employee stock benefit compensation plan that is a billion share registration. Who needs
Wow.
1 billion shares of free stock? And then you look at the chart, they just keep dumping stock in the float every month.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, you know, comparing to the Fed,
Yeah,
that's their currency.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
their currency. And then
Yeah.
have you ever had trouble getting when your restricted stock had seasoned,
Oh, geez.
them not wanting
Oh
to
my
convert
gosh.
it to free
Oh,
trading stock?
oh yeah. That's,
Huh?
companies are always like that. That's why you always try and do deals with companies where you have your hand firmly around somebody's neck.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know,
Wow. Yeah.
that's
Well, now I know why you look. I couldn't take it for more than 6 months either. So you know,
I did every form of IR from being a phone chimp, like
Yeah.
first level,
Yeah.
to actually then, paying our IR guys. And I
Yeah.
actually, because my first job as a trader, my boss was arrested because he was trading for the mob. So they thought I was bad news soon. I couldn't get a job. I ended up working as a trader in a phone room, a boiler room, and the guy who ran it looked like Colonel Sanders. That's how low I sunk. So this was after 9/11. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
never again. If I do
My
deals,
my bottom was selling Makata options in the 70s,
oh
which I bet
wow,
no one. Hey, anyone out here remember what a Makata option is?
I've heard the term,
Okay.
but I can't even say
Okay.
I do.
Anyway, that was it. I mean, you
Wow.
needed such a big move to just recapture the cost of the trade.
Wow.
Anyway, you know, I'm glad those days are done. All we have to do is be right and not stay wrong. So,
Yep.
you want to show people perhaps your website and
Sure.
what their
Well,
options might be for, you know,
definitely.
working with you.
Yeah, we teach every day at this place called microefutures.com. Got a nice virtual stock photography picture of a trading room. I wish we had that.
What an
But
astronaut. Yeah.
but
Rocket ship.
it does look like, yeah, Steve did a great job on that. And we have videos. We take people who, who have size, and then we take people who are just learning.
Yeah.
We charge like $40 a month. So we keep the cost low so people can learn. And we have it's a trading room where it's kind of calm. It's a teaching environment. I teach for 3 hours every day. After I hop off on here, I'll go on for 2 hours on a Zoom. And we'll show people how to actually make a buck and not lose a lot. Because when you first start out, your big thing is trying not to lose money until you know enough so you can actually make money. So I come up with these little balance zones that we have during Globex, and then we can just trade the double of them. You'll see on that news reaction, we went up to my 97 3/4 and then faded back down. So we just, you can take the shorts into here. You can take the longs in here. My big thing is showing new traders how to find the bid. That's the whole thing, find the bid so you can work off of it. And, that's all. We just keep it real simple, real simple. Just get in, get out, get paid, and don't have all the drama,
Do you have a recommended broker that your people trade through?
For equities, I like Centerpoint. They're really good. They're in your neck of the woods. For futures, I love AMP and Iron Beam because they're so cheap and the service
Okay.
is good.
What's it cost to clear micro lot?
It's about 78 cents round trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, reasonable.
And no PDT, right?
Okay, what's that?
The pattern day trading rule for equities traders.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they can open an account and you can learn with $500. And then with these places like Top Step and stuff, you pay $39 a month and you get to, you get 20 grand to trade with. But they, and then we teach you how to pass the evaluations because we partner with them. So we just want to keep people trading and just so they can just make a little bit of money every week, and pay that phone bill, pay that, instead of swinging for the fences and blowing up their accounts. In the old days, we used to call us grinders. We teach people how to grind. Yeah.
Well, we have a trader, a prop trader program here.
That's cool.
I'd like you to check it out and
Love to.
get back to me and let me know. one of the major advantages, most of these assessments, you have a limited amount of time to complete them. There is no time limit. So
Okay.
they people don't have the time pressure. And I believe it's with 8cap is the broker.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of
So
them.
yeah, check it out. I know
Definitely.
Danny, and I know the guys at Top Step, and I remember seeing Danny's big body in the S&P pit, and he's a good guy. Let me know how they compare,
Definitely.
because
Definitely.
we're a lot of people are getting through. And
So,
gosh, it's great talking to you again, buddy. And the war
thank you so
stories
much.
really take me back in a time machine to days I don't want to remember.
I miss those days because I was young and guys like you, that's why I really like you, because you remind me of the guys who taught me the business.
What, the Colonel Sanders guy in the room?
No,
Or,
the old floor traders, the
Yeah.
guys, because the floor traders, we took them off the floor and put them in the office, and that's when I started. And they were like caged animals, because they had to sit in front of a screen now, and they would
Yeah.
be pacing up and down the halls. So they just come and abuse me in the at the trade desk because I was the rookie, right? And
Yeah.
that's how I learned the business, right?
All
it
right.
was-
So
yeah.
so everyone, you could probably start by at least following JJ
Yeah,
at
just
VWAP Trader, at VWAP Trader, and
VWAP
check it
Trader
out.
one.
Trading micro lots, I think, is a great way to start. I think it's better than demos because at least you have the emotion of having some capital at risk. It brings money into the equation, which most people have crazy ideas about.
Yeah.
So great talking to you again, my trading
Thank,
warrior brother.
thank you so much, Coach. You have a wonderful weekend, and you're in San Diego, so
Yeah.
go down to La Jolla for me, please. I miss that place.
All right, and you have a great spring trading season.
Thank
You and
you,
all
sir.
your guys and gals, and I'm a fan. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. JJ VWAP, and I hope everyone had a good week. And we'll be back Monday. Can join the team in looks like about 18 minutes for the morning edge. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Keep an eye on China next week. We'll see what happens when the president of Taiwan comes to LA to meet Speaker McCarthy. I do believe that there will be a price to pay for this from them. So have a great weekend, everyone. Adios. You're welcome, everyone. Thanks again, JJ.